Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, and thank you, Melissa. How's everybody doing? Okay? I'm going to avoid the glare of that light a little bit, so you just got to bear with me today. I'm going to just walk through this stuff. Hopefully you find it interesting. You take something away from you when you leave here with you, and you can take it back to your workplace. But let's just get started and dig into employee engagement. How important is it really? I think it's a hot topic these days, of course, and there's a lot to it. So a little bit about me. I know Melissa gave us the introduction, the formal introduction. I hate that thing, but anyway, let's talk about me. This is my wife. This is a date night. Took her shooting. First time she ever held a gun in her life. Literally at one point during the night, she took the gun and did this. I said, no, 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 no. I still don't know whether she did that on purpose or by accident. I'm not convinced, right? This is another date night. We went out for drinks. Different night. We did not go drinking and then shooting. I'm not that stupid, right? I'm just not. My daughter and son-in-law, fairly newlyweds. They got married back in March. And as my daughter says, we now have one grand dog. Little puppy about 10 months old. Good little dog. She lives in Pennsylvania, but she calls him Tenny for Tennessee, of course, right? And then my wife and I, we have one little mutt. He's about 10 years old. Good little dog, except he doesn't like anybody except my wife, my daughter, and myself, right? I show my wife all my slides before I present them anywhere. I tell her what I'm going to say. Have a seat, please. I tell her what I'm going to say. I said, what do you think? She said, yeah, that's going to... She saw this. She said, really? I'm number one? I said, honey, 29 years of marriage, going on 30 years. Of course you're number one, right? I didn't show her this part. That little dog thinks he's number one, sitting there eating his Bluebell ice cream, okay? But little does he know, he's been displaced because my daughter's expecting a little baby girl. She's about 10 weeks pregnant. It's a little early yet, but we're super excited. Our first grandchild. Really looking forward to it, okay? Me, 13 years in the service industry, supermarket business, 7 years in hospitality, hotel casino business, 5 years in state government, court system in New Jersey, and the last 23 years or so in manufacturing in a couple different venues of manufacturing. But that's just a little bit about my background, my experience, okay? Before we get into this, did anybody sit where their favorite candy bar was today? I'm just curious. Anybody? Nobody. Wow. You did. We got two. We got three. Saying, okay, we got three that did. Anybody trade candy bars with somebody else because they had the candy bar you wanted? That happened. Did anybody? Yeah, we did. Okay. So just remember this. With a $1.29 candy bar, I engaged you with a little bit of a reward to do something you may not have normally done. Maybe you didn't want to sit on this side, you would have sat on that side. I don't know, right? But a little bit of reward might go a long way sometime for us, okay? Gallup. Everybody knows Gallup. They do the election year polls. That's what they're known for. But they also do a lot of employee engagement work, employee survey data, etc. And I don't need to read a slide to you. You can read for yourself, right? What's the word that goes in the blank? You got it, Stefan? What is it? Every interaction. I like that. Very good. What else? We're thinking.
Would you drop relationship in there?
Relationship? Why not? Right? I think that could work. Gallup's quote was, every conversation a manager has or supervisor has. I added an interaction. I like that. I like relationship too. I think that's really important. Okay? But I take it a step further, right? Or it doesn't have. That's really, really important. And I'll give you a real life example. Had a guy, worked in the factory for us, 7 years, good forklift operator, highly experienced, right? Not super engaged, but he came to work every day, did his job, did it well. Good guy, right? Went out on medical leave of absence. Was out for about 3 months, maybe a little bit longer. And during that time, he and I had, exchanged texts, conversed, okay, when you coming back, what's going on, how you doing, blah, 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 that kind of thing. He comes back to work, get cleared by the doctor, comes back to work on a Monday, comes in Monday morning, normal time, like everything. Monday afternoon, at the end of the day, he comes over to my office, he says, I quit. I said, you quit? What do you mean? Are you giving 2-week notice? No, I quit today, I'm done. I said, what's the matter, what happened? He said, this guy, the manager, he named him, didn't ask me how I was doing, welcome back, nothing like that. Just get on the forklift, load truck number 7, get it in the bay, that kind of thing. He said, I don't need that. He said, I've done it with it for 5 years. I'm not going to deal with it anymore. I'm done. We lost a good employee because that manager didn't take 2 minutes to just sit down and talk, hey, good to have you back. We really missed you. Whatever it was, a simple conversation that could have been held that could have saved this guy, right? Now, clearly he'd been thinking about it a long time, right? It didn't just happen that day. It was 5 years of experience, right? But that was the tipping point. That's all it took, okay? Just to give you an idea. And I'm going to flip sides here if I can. So when I think about engagement, we want to talk about cost, right? Because there's a cost to the business. And I'm just going to ask you guys, those of you in manufacturing, any idea what SHRM says it costs to replace a position, a person in the manufacturing world today? On average, across this country. Any numbers that might come to mind? Joy, what do you think?
5 times their salary?
5 times their salary. So if they're making $40,000, 5 times that. Anybody else? How about in hospitality? Hotel, restaurant, those kind of things. Any ideas, any numbers? We all agree there's a cost, right? Definitely. Stefan, in your business, what do you think?
If I had to put a number on it, I'd say 15 to 25,000.
15 to 25,000. Okay. So SHRM says for manufacturing, on average, about $18,000 per employee per position. If I turn over 5 in the year, it's adding up. I turn over 10 in a year, we're really hitting the bottom line here, right? Hospitality, about 30% on average, about 30%, right? Just to give you some numbers, let's walk through them a little. So this includes everything, recruitment, selection, good job descriptions, your interview process, onboarding, supervisor's time, co-workers' time, conducting possibly stay interviews with folks, employee surveys, advertising for the position, Indeed, whatever it might be, any assessment tools you might use. All of those things factor into some turnover cost. Quality issues that newcomer isn't performing up to standard, right? Scheduling, total compensation, not just their salary, life insurance, 401k, vacation, benefits, etc. All of those things are a cost for us. So in a hotel, front desk, let's just say they're making $13.50 an hour, 80 hours in the work year, $28,000 cost per year, times 30%, about $84.24. Say they turn over 3 positions a year. And that's very conservative in the hotel business, right? Anybody in hospitality knows that's a pretty low number in a big property, right? So about $25,000.
And that doesn't include the overtime that you have to pay somebody to cover.
Somebody else to cover that vacant spot. And some people don't like overtime, right? It's like, I don't want to work, but you have to, but I don't want to work another day, right? Food and beverage side, let's say they're making $17 an hour, about $10,000, 30% number. 3 positions, about $32,000 a year for 3 positions, 3, right? And let's look at maintenance in a hotel, maybe 18, maybe $20 an hour, maybe more these days, right? About 11 grand, about 33,000. $90,000 for 9 positions in a hotel. If I could find a hotel that only turned over 9 positions in a year, that's the place I'd want to go work, right? So this is a big number for them. For any business, it's a significant number. It's a significant cost. We got to be careful of it. And that's what we're talking about today, right? What's the cost? What does it mean to us as managers, as supervisors, as HR folks? What are we looking at? Test, true or false? Strong engagement equals strong retention. True. True, absolutely. Always. Is it?
Depends on the kind of engagement.
Pretty engaged folks. They like their work, they really enjoy it, they're into it, man. They want to be proud of they're doing good. Strong engagement equals strong retention. Generally, I would say it's true, but I'll give you a classic example of when it wasn't. Healthcare during COVID. Highly engaged folks, cared about what they were doing tremendously, but nurses in particular left healthcare completely, switched careers, or went out of the workforce completely, and retention wasn't there for them. They struggled.
Maybe it's positive engagement
Positive engagement.
rather than just strong, because you can have really a jerk of a manager who engages people a lot and isn't necessarily keeping them around because they're a jerk.
Yeah, but in this case, in that example, right, it wasn't even their manager, it was just the conditions that was causing it, right? It was like, oh, this is not a good situation. We're burning out. I'm working 6-7 days a week. I don't see my family. I'm at risk every single day, etc. Dangerous working conditions, etc. So let's flip it around. Strong retention equals strong engagement. Generally true? We like this, yes? I didn't hear that, Joy, I'm sorry.
I was echoing your general.
Generally true, okay. Any examples where it might be an exception?
Maybe during a downturn in the economy,
Downturn in the economy,
everybody kind of stays where they are.
absolutely, right? I can't take the chance of moving, there may not be a job out there for me. Or extremely well-paying jobs, because nobody wants to do it. It's not a great job, it's not a lot of fun, but they got to pay well in order to get folks and keep folks, right? So they're, what's that?
The guys who work up on cell phone towers.
Yeah, you'd never get me up on a cell phone tower, right? I'm afraid of heights. Heights and snakes, I just don't do it, right? So this is, just think about it, right? We think strong intention means strong engagement, but not necessarily. There are exceptions, there are times where that's not going to be true, okay? So Gallup, in February 2023, and they do a survey either once a year, even twice a year on employee engagement, right? And we'll share some stats on that in a little bit, but in the USA, in their February 2023, what do you think the number was of highly engaged folks? What was the percentage? What's that? 50%, half the country, half of the workforce. You're shaking your head, you're saying, no, I don't think so.
25.
25, wow.
I do.
Okay, no, that's good, that's good. Anybody else?
32.
32, wow, you cheated, didn't you?
51%.
Let me go back.
$1.
It's we'll see there in a minute. And I don't want you to share the number because your boss might be sitting next to you, but what's the number at your workplace? What's that percentage that's highly engaged, right? And how about disengaged? What's the number across the country that's actively disengaged, meaning they hate coming to work. They're disruptive, they're a problem when they're there, etc. What do you think it is?
32.
32. You're sticking with that 32. You like that 32, right? Anybody else?
Stick with my 25.
25 still. Good. What do you think?
Actively disengaged?
Actively disengaged,
I'm gonna
right?
go high- I mean, I think it's higher.
You think it's higher? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's more to the 50%.
50% number. Okay. All right. And then we have that group in the middle. They're not highly engaged. They're not actively disengaged. They're either stuck or somewhere else, right? So we have three kinds of folks in the workplace, essentially. Okay? Engaged, positively charged, passionate, optimistic, brimming with ideas, contributing. Now that you hear that, do you want to change your number at all? Yes. What are we changing it to?
I'm going to go with the 25.
25%. We're changing that number a little bit. Okay? Stuck employee operates in neutral, is kind of checked out, low energy, does the bare minimum, kind of stays and quits, right? They're still there, but they're not doing what they should be doing or could be doing necessarily. Okay? 33% highly engaged, according to Gallup. Okay? That number in this country continues to decline. Right? Every time they do a survey, it drops in the last couple of years anyway. Okay? During COVID, worse than that, right? Naturally, folks weren't too engaged. They were focused on a lot of other more important critical things. But that number continues. Worldwide, globally, Gallup says it's about 20% that are highly engaged. So big difference between here and outside this country. Okay? Disengaged, quits and leaves the rubble behind. This is the guy or gal, when they say I'm quitting, you're happy, right? It's like, okay, lots of luck, right? 18%, about 18%, okay? This number continues to increase, okay? 18%. Surprised by the numbers at all?
No, so is everybody else considered stuck?
That 49%, here's my thinking. Some of them are what I call my rocks of Gibraltar. They're steady, dependable. They're not coming up with new ideas every day, but they're coming to work every day. They're doing their job. They're not causing trouble. They're not causing problems. So roughly, you have about 49% of your workforce that's either this or kind of stuck somewhere, right? Looking to nudge along a little bit, right? All depends how you want to look at it. So most folks, when you look at engagement, they talk about what drives engagement. And there's three components, basically, kind of like a stool, right? Individual value, meaningful work, positive environment. And when you look at these, and I look at that first one, am I appreciated and encouraged to grow? Development and recognition are important. Who's responsible for that? Any thoughts?
Direct supervisors,
Direct supervisors, frontline supervisors.
ones that are working with your people.
You're working with those people, right? Anybody else? Any other thoughts?
I think that is especially critical for recognition.
For recognition. What's the difference here, Stefan? Help me.
Development is a harder nugget to sort of crack at the front line
Okay.
level.
Okay.
I think sometimes it's useful to fly a little higher to try to get an outlay of
Okay.
what the future might hold. To me, with development, you want a target in the future that we can work toward. And, I think that's more of a higher level leader potentially.
Okay. So I'm a frontline employee on a manufacturing line, right? Who's responsible to make me feel appreciated and encouraged to grow and development and recognition? Who's responsible for that? Frontline supervisor. Anybody else?
Peers too,
Peers.
yeah, their fellow coworkers.
Okay. Okay. Management,
Yes.
right? If management doesn't cascade down that kind of thinking, the employee, to a certain extent, what's his or her perspective on this, right? Meaningful work. Does it matter what I do? Do I get to make an impact to the cause, purpose, empowerment, and the big why? Who's responsible for that?
I would think you would be.
You would be the employee. Is that
The person itself.
okay? Anybody else?
Also leadership,
Leadership. What does that mean, leadership? Who's that?
the one kind of in charge, I think, directing the ship, you know.
Okay, so
Casting the vision.
Yes.
leadership, top leadership. Frontline supervisor?
I say yes, because they're definitely the why. They're giving you the reasons why.
Okay.
I
Okay.
mean, it should be something that's passed down, I feel like.
Something.
So like the frontline supervisor should have already felt it from somebody above them.
Okay.
Because they will, if done well, I would think, they would be excited about the impact. They would be focused on the why and be passing it down to the people that they manage as
Okay.
well.
Okay. And positive environment. Great place to work, physical environment, the vibe. What's it really like to work here? What's the culture? Respect, trust, collaboration, etc. Who's got that one? Starts at the top.
Everyone.
Everyone. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that goes with your vision, mission.
yeah.
Culture starts in the cubicle next to you.
Culture starts in the cubicle next to you. Wow. Unpack that one for me a little bit, please. No, I love it. I love it. I'm not.
Put yourself, you're a new hire, you show up day one.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the, you know, yes, you do HR, you do all the paperwork. Then you come, who's the first person you meet? It's your neighbor.
Generally your neighbor,
Generally
right?
Your neighbor, your desk.
Yeah.
If they're cantankerous, shall we say,
Mm-hmm.
what is your impression of the culture?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Start
This
right.
place
But
is-
is that not a reflection of the leadership though? Could be,
Mm.
Yeah.
could not be. Could be one of those disengaged employees that's your person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love this. I just read a book called The Culture Code. I don't know if anybody's read it or heard of it. It's a great book, great book. But they give a couple different examples, and this one scenario is this call center they did orientation or onboarding with different groups of people, and this one group, they gave them an extra hour of onboarding in this first day or whatever it was, right? And they gave them, as silly as this is, a shirt or whatever it was with their name on it and the company name on it, right? Those people, the retention factor on those folks were much significantly better than the folks that had less time and didn't have their name embroidered on a shirt, right? Sounds silly, but that's pretty impactful. It's pretty serious, right? 10 steps to help drive engagement. So in small groups, I want you guys to come up with 10 things that can be done to help drive engagement in the workplace, right? So let's have a couple of teams. How about you three? How about you four here, right? How about you four back here, right? And how about you five here then, okay? 10 steps. Come up with 5. If you each come up with 5, and we'll share them, see what we come up with.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna come up with 40 ideas. Perfect. Thank you. But now what do you want? Oh. It sounds like I'm gonna be the one sharing.
All right, let's hear what everybody's come up with, all right? What I'd like you to do is kind of share your answers, whatever you wrote down, with the entire group so that if you hear something that someone else says, you think, that's a great idea, add it to your list and take it back to your workplace as a possibility. Hey, we should implement this or we should think about this, etc. So how about we start over here with you guys on the right-hand side. Just tell us your list and let's list it up and hear what they got, right?
Ours were so good, we only got 7. We didn't need.
That's okay. That's all right. I go for that.
This is in no particular order.
Okay.
We said maintain mission and vision, because that's gonna get to the why and empower people. Setting team goals that are tangible, that people can easily see is attained. Team building regularly, so like Olivia, for instance, is going to see a baseball game next week together, so doing things outside where you get to know each other better.
Okay.
Trusting the people that you hire to do their job rather than micromanaging, so if you hire somebody, trust that they're going to do it. Having regular check-ins with the people that you hire. Making space for all voices to be heard and valued in different conversations.
Okay.
And then managers that have integrity in leading their team.
Any comments, any feedback, any suggestions? Pretty good list?
It was mostly that.
Mostly them, but pretty good list. Yeah, no, I think I like it. All right. How about you guys? What'd you come up with?
Real conversations / care about the person, not just their product.
Okay.
As a manager, removing roadblocks / managing speed bumps. So what's in their way that those managers can take out of their way. Near real-time feedback. Hey, good job. Hey, bad job. Here's what to improve. Here's what to work on. Personalized rewards. So not just like, here's a watch, but something that is personalized to them. Encouragement and support for trying new things. Regular communication and updates on vision, both kind of corporate and the employee level for their position, how they fit into that overall vision and goals. And then, that was what I said. The eighth one I stole from you.
Good.
You're welcome.
Good. And you guys kind of said real conversations. I like the way you phrased that. Now, how did you guys put it? You had another.
Space open for all voices.
Yeah.
Okay. So one way we can do that is having regularly scheduled one-to-one conversations with that frontline supervisor or that person's, right? And I tell clients all the time, the employee has the right to cancel or ask that to be rescheduled, but the supervisor never should, right? That's your time that I've committed to you every week or every other week, whatever it might be, right? And it needs to be a real conversation, right? So they understand. Who's next? What you got?
We have individual recognition and gifts. You could be bonus, monetary.
Okay.
Extra time off if you're, working overtime constantly, maybe you get extra time off.
Okay.
Positive reinforcement, managers taking their team out for lunch or coffee, team building, retreats, training with rewards, so you get a certification instead of just, oh, good job, maybe there's some kind of positive reinforcement or gift along with that.
Okay.
Having a family day, kind of like what Denso does, engaging the whole family,
Okay.
seeing what mom and dad do. Having committees so that they feel like they have a voice within the company, whether maybe it's a culture committee or standards or whatever the case may be. And then lastly, VTO, volunteer time off. So you get paid to go out and do something in the community you're passionate about.
Okay. Good. Any feedback, comments, any thoughts? Good list? Yeah, I like it. How about you guys? Last but not least, right?
I think other than what hasn't been said.
Okay.
We had opportunities for growth and development,
Okay.
and celebrate the wins,
Okay.
and then regular communication so employees can understand the why.
Really important.
Do I miss anything?
No, that's
Good. Yeah. Celebrate the wins. If it's a big project, going to take a lot of time, don't wait for the win, right? Celebrate a milestone. Let's acknowledge we come this far. That's 25%. That's pretty significant. Let's celebrate that, reward it, acknowledge it. We still got 3/4 to go here, whatever it might be, okay? So celebrate the wins. Here's a couple thoughts. Create learning opportunities. Show appreciation, regular recognition. Now, that doesn't mean every day I go out there every day and I say, good job, good job, good job, good job. Because if I do that, it becomes absolutely meaningless, right? It is worthless. It's got to be specific to that person. It's got to be relevant. It's got to be timely, etc. Assess individual career paths. Empower employees, right? Whether it be safety, customer service issues, whatever it is, give them the authority to take care of things. Be transparent. Feedback. Ask for it, right? Encourage it. You guys kind of said this. Give them a mechanism, right? React to it. Flexibility. I heard a podcast guest and he said, flexibility is the new HR currency, right? Folks want flexibility today. Create a sense of purpose, that vision, mission, what are we here for? A comprehensive onboarding program, right? Does it really encompass? Stephen said, day one, you sit next to your neighbor. If your neighbor is a deadbeat, a problem employee, right? That bad apple, you're going to have two bad apples sitting next to each other in a short amount of time, okay? After action reviews, AAR. So after something has occurred, let's sit down and dissect this a little bit. Hey, what went well? What worked very well? You did a great job here, here, and here. Let's repeat that the next time we have something similar to this, whatever it might be, okay? So an after-action review. The why, and these are just two examples, big numbers here. Molson Coors, strengthening employee engagement. They said they saved $1.7 million in safety costs in 1 year. Right? Caterpillar, and I think this was a European plant, it was a European plant, right? $2 million increase in profit plus a 34% increase in highly satisfied customers in a startup plant. So there are a lot of reasons why, right? Why else do we want to have engaged employees?
If you're customer service facing,
If I'm customer service facing,
engaged employees are going to make more of an impact on the customers.
okay?
I'll also think that you end up having free advertisement because if people are excited about their job, they're going to be telling their friends and families and everyone else.
Sure. And word of mouth is, right? What else? Why do
Engaged employees are more apt to work safe.
they're more safety conscious? Absolutely. Absolutely. And we don't think about that, but that is so true, right? And there's data to back it up. Any other ideas? Give you some thoughts? They're happier. And I like to work around happy people, I got to be honest, right? Higher productivity, better mental health, less absenteeism, more retention, better loyalty. They're going to talk good about us, better customer relations, and they're generally just more satisfied with their work, right? And that's what it's all about, okay? Post-pandemic, SHRM 2022 did a little study of employees, right? And they found a couple of things. One was employees wanted flexibility. That was big for them. There were 4 findings that they come out with, right? This was one of them, okay? Hear them out and listen to them. They wanted to be heard, right? They wanted to be heard. That was really important to them, okay? Holistic approach, total well-being. Mental health was increasingly important. We're seeing that still today, right? It's not going to go away. It's not going to change. And the last thing they said was they wanted a wow experience. They wanted to be wowed. Just like we wow the customer, as an employee, they wanted to be wowed, okay? And I'll tell you a crazy story. I worked in the casino business in Atlantic City for a number of years. And one of the properties there, not us, unfortunately, we weren't the first to do it, but one of the properties came up with this idea, we're going to have an employee concierge. They're going to be back of the house. The customer, the guest is never going to, only for the employees. So if I wanted to get my dry cleaning done, I could bring my shirts in, drop it off at the concierge, and 2 days later, it'd be ready for me. I wanted to mail a package, I took it to the concierge, and they took care of it for me. I paid, but they took care of it for me, right? Because in that industry, you're working some crazy schedules, 24/7, holidays, weekends. Time is really valuable to the employee. We all thought this particular property was nuts. Like, that's a crazy investment. People aren't going to do it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Shortly afterward, we all followed suit and did the same thing. Like, we need an employee concierge department in our, this makes a lot of sense, right? So these are the things that SHRM says folks were looking for. I don't think it's changed in the last year. I think it's still pretty much the same stuff. Just my thoughts. Yes, ma'am.
Hear them out.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that some leaders can have a tendency of doing is thinking, oh, if I have to listen to this employee complain about something they don't want to do, then I have to take action on it. That's not necessarily true. I had a boss years ago that would tell me, you don't have to like it, but you have to do it. And he would hear me out. And, I would give him all my grievances for why I didn't want to do what I needed to do, and he listened, and I felt heard. So I would go do the thing I didn't like to do, knowing my boss had heard me. So we don't have to take action. We can still give direction and say, listen, I hear you. You don't have to like it, but you have to do it.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. It really is. Yeah. I mean, you can't solve all the problems, and some things, whether we like it or not, have to get done in the business. It's just part of the job sometimes, right? It really is. So there's some organizational drivers as far as employee engagement. Pretty obvious when you look at them. And these slides, if you want them, can they be sent out, or is that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Amy can say.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, just I'll have Amy do that then, I guess. So they're organizational drivers, right? The organization has to do some of these things to have this happen, to make it happen, okay? And I have a couple quizzes for you. Nothing tricky, but let's just ask, who's more engaged for breakfast? I think the pig is, right? Chicken's giving me an egg. That pig's giving up his life, okay?
Oh no, I like chicken biscuits.
All right, let's try another one. Who do you think is more engaged? Yeah. This poor guy, not even in the same room with his team, screaming at them. Obviously, his team's not going to like him very much. She's got Post-its up there. They're looking at her. They're paying attention. She's smiling. She's in the same room with them. Pretty obvious, right? Pretty obvious. Chick-fil-A. Everybody says Chick-fil-A, right? Any McDonald's voters here? We got one.
I worked at McDonald's when I went to school, so
Okay. So you're loyal to McDonald's. It's
it
like,
got me through.
got you through school.
Pretty hungry, so
Everybody else says Chick-fil-A. You're sticking to your guns, yes?
I worked at Chick-fil-A.
You worked at Chick-fil-A.
Similarly, and I still feel loyal.
Okay.
After working.
Okay. Did anybody ever work at Chick-fil-A and McDonald's? So your answer, Chick-fil-A, was based upon what? My pleasure.
Employee interaction.
Employee interaction, that service I get.
Being inside,
Right.
working and,
Experience.
yeah,
Okay. But never as an employee.
never as an employee, the employees just seem happy
Okay.
when you walk in there.
Okay. I've done this a lot of times with a lot of folks. And you're the first person that's ever said McDonald's. I got to tell you, nobody says McDonald's. They say Chick-fil-A, 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 100% all the time. Okay. What's that?
Had tuition reimbursed.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. Hey, it's important, right? But it's based upon experience, and I think it's based upon a little bit of perception as well, right? It's just our perception, even though we never work there, because that 16-year-old kid or 14-year-old kid or whatever says my pleasure every time. And I have a good experience with Chick-fil-A. When I go through the drive-through, it's pretty efficient, right? They get my order right? I don't have to drive around a second time or whatever it might be, right? Their ice cream machine works. I'm with you on that one, Chris. I got to be honest. I really am. I like their ice cream. I really do. So the next slide, I don't want you to say this number out loud because, like I said, your boss could be sitting here with you, so we're not going to put you on the spot. But how engaged are you? Little self-reflection. 1 to 10.
Is engagement and passion the same?
Yeah. Maybe not, right? But I think they're close. I'm really passionate. I'm very engaged about what I'm doing, right? 1 to 10. If you're in your head thinking a 1, 2, maybe even a 3, I would say call 911 right now, right? You need help. You need to figure out what you're doing. 4, 5, 6, you still need to get a little help, get on track, figure out where you're headed, what you want to do, right? 7, 8, 9, you're in the zone. No? 10, call 911, right? There's more to work, more to life than work, right? Work-life balance is important. We're finding that out more and more, okay? So just think about that a little bit, okay? And then there are some other ways we drive engagement, right? Employees enjoy a good relationship with their supervisor. Give them the necessary equipment. Give them the authority. And let them have some freedom to make some decisions, right? Important stuff there, important stuff, okay? What does it look like? A couple ideas. Seamless employee support, right? You're supporting them and they don't even realize it's happening. And I'll give you an example of a guy that I know, and this is what should have happened. The company's idea was this was going to be seamless employee support to their workforce. And actually, it kind of backfired on them big time. Knoxville facilities, they have 2 operations here, total of about 400 employees. And they decided, this big international company, they were going to pull their HR folks out of the local operations altogether. They were going to eliminate those jobs and have a call center. You can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 800 number. You can call on holidays. Any question you have, you can call this number and they're going to give you an answer about your pay, your benefits, whatever it might be. This guy has been with them for 23 years. He said, I don't think there's one employee that likes this call center thing. He said, I call, I don't know what country I'm talking to. They can't give me an answer half the time. They say, let me research it and get back to you in 3 days, 2 days, whatever it might be. He said, sometimes they get back to us and sometimes they don't, right? But the company's idea was it was going to be seamless employee support to their folks. I'm sure it cost savings, right? But actually, it backfired on them big time, right? Successful onboarding, that's not just day one orientation, right? It's follow-up, follow-through. How you doing? Maybe you take them to lunch after the first week, the first month, whatever it might be, right? Check on them, right? Training, good communication, giving them a mechanism to talk to us, recognize their efforts, transparency, empower the supervisors, team leaders, more focus on mental health, and respect for employees. Big, big important stuff, okay? And I'm not going to go through these slides because there's a lot of data here. No matter what you look up for data to support this, you're going to find similar numbers or numbers that tell the same story, basically. But clearly, there is a return on investment in people, right? Return on investment in people when we have highly engaged folks, right? And I highlighted a couple things there. "67% with access to free food at work are extremely happy or very happy with their job." Free food, right? What's that?
That's a big one in manufacturing, I feel like. There's such a difference in the dive into these positions when you do or don't have that.
Yeah, it's crazy, crazy. When I worked in the casino business, you had free meals in the employee cafeteria. You go there for breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever it might be, right? We liked it, it was good. But they also had in every single department mini kitchens that were stocked with sodas, waters, coffees, teas, candy bars, snacks, all the time. I don't know who took care of it. I look back and think about it. I don't know who did that. I have no idea who did it. Because it was a tremendous job, right? But, but it was there. And it was really well appreciated. It really was. You wanted to grab a candy bar in the middle of the morning or the middle of the afternoon, it's like, I'm going to do that. What am I doing here? Anyway, employees with a best friend at work, right? So there's tons of statistics, positive, encouraging statistics that say we should do what we can to drive employee engagement. It's going to pay off. To the employee and to the company, right? Really is. Any questions about anything at all that we've talked about so far? Anything? Comments?
Can we go back to that last slide?
Mm-hmm. 83% of millennials say work-life balance is the most important factor when considering a potential job. Totally agree. Wow. Yeah.
Shoney has a great take on that. It's not necessarily work-life balance
Mm-hmm.
that people are looking for, it's work-life integration, right? Which is how well does my life integrate with my work or my work integrate with my life? Flexibility, I think.
Flexibility is kind of, right?
Yeah, that's a big part of that.
Okay.
I think adding that personal value though has a big impact on that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 31 and no kids. I'm an immigrant to this country.
Mhm.
And for me, the value that I get from doing what I do for a living brings so much joy to my life that it keeps that drive. So I think it really depends on the job.
Okay. Yeah. There's a YouTube video, and it's funny, but it's kind of sad, right? It is a millennial, and she's being interviewed, and the interviewer has these questions that I think are pretty standard questions, and he says at one point, okay, we start at 8 o'clock, and she says, 8 o'clock in the morning? And she, yeah, well, that's not going to work for me. You know, that's her answer, right? And I mean, I don't want to generalize. I hate to do that, but that flexibility is so important. It really is, right? It's a little bit of a facetious video, but it's interesting when you look, and the questions are all like that. Everything he says, she comes back with some response of some sort that's like, And I hate that because it generalizes, but I don't think it's true just for millennials. I think post-COVID, we've all had a mind shift change, right? We're all thinking a little bit different about what we thought of work. Not all, I shouldn't say, but a lot, right? Than before pre-COVID, a lot, significantly.
Well, I mean, you talked about millennials a lot and flexibility, but also look at that generation kind that I am in, not as much now, but they have small kids, they have elderly parents, and you're responsible to take care of both.
Yeah.
Juggle your career.
Right.
Having that flexibility piece
Is key.
for me is huge.
Yeah.
To be able
Yeah.
to kind of combat all of those different pieces in my life.
Yeah. And I think we're going to see more and more of that, right? We really are. There's no doubt. No doubt. Okay? Any other questions or comments? So today, everybody gets to do this, right? Pass it a little bit. 3 things that you can do in your workplace to help drive engagement. Your name goes here. Who's responsible? Okay? So I want you to write your name in there. Three little things that you can do to help drive engagement in the workplace. Everybody ready? Not quite. Three little things that you can do to help drive engagement, and start it by a week from today, or have it finished by a week from today, or at least implemented. All right, let's start on this end, nice and loud and clear. 3 things that you can do.
First one was position. I'm in lean continuous improvement. Okay. We have several teams throughout the plant. And we have what we call EO leaders.
Okay.
We try to build that runs the team.
What's EO mean? What does that mean?
Equipment ownership.
Okay.
Equipment ownership.
Okay.
So one thing I will try to do is delegate a little bit more, do a little bit more coaching for these leaders on the floor.
Okay.
Instead of stepping in there and giving them the answer. Second thing, create a sense of purpose of why we're here. The reason why we're doing these events, the reason why we're having these teams.
Okay. Why is that? Help me understand why. What are you going to tell the employee?
really try to get them to buy in on the system that we're trying to get.
Okay. Okay.
A better understanding. And my third point is explaining the reason why we're doing this. Because a lot of times, you know, some manufacturers, they just throw these programs in the month. We're gonna do this, especially with lean.
Okay.
Until the fires get hot. But the
That's
reason
true.
why,
Okay,
the reason why.
all right, good. Angie?
With mine, the first one would be, thank yous, public recognition. I think that goes a lot. If others hear the thank yous and the praise that we give. The second one would be check-ins. I do meet with my group, but I
Okay.
meet with the group, I think more of a personal one-on-one check-in
Okay.
weekly. And then the third would be, asking career paths and helping off support for where they want to go with the company.
Good, good, I like it. Joy, how about you, what you got?
Show empathy.
Show empathy. Okay, that and I don't mean to interrupt you. I just read this survey, and that was, I think, the number one thing employees desired of their leadership: be empathetic. It's like, wow,
And to go along with that is hear them out.
hear them out. Okay,
And then show appreciation individually, not just like, hey, y'all did a great job, but
okay,
be more,
little one-on-one.
more intentional.
Okay.
Appreciation.
Okay. I had a plant manager one time, we had whiteboards, dry erase whiteboards in different lines and different cells in the factory. And he used to go out, like when the numbers were good or some, and he would draw this big circle, smiley face kind of thing. Great job, thanks for your hard work. And then he would show up the next morning at their startup meeting and say, I want you to just take note of this. I really appreciate everything you did here. You had a great day yesterday. Every day he did it, every day. It's phenomenal.
To recognize and reward. So we have a platform where you can go in and say why, give them points so that they can buy things. So really make it being more diligent about doing that. I try to do it every once in a while, but I certainly don't do it as much as it needs to be done. So that would be individuals, and then understanding the why. So sometimes I just want to say, just do what I want you to do. And but you know, they want to understand, why do we have to bring this mozzarella in? You know, well, it has to be a clean label. It melts perfectly. They need to understand why versus why can't we use something else. So understanding the why, and then the creating a space, a sense of purpose. So making sure they understand why it's so important that they're in the role that they're in to provide a service to our customers, that they make a difference, that they're not just, you know, some number.
They make a difference.
So engage to me would be to have more meaningful conversations.
Okay.
Instead of just idle conversations. To be respectful consistently every day of teammates, managers. And then it would just be to initiate reaching out.
Okay. Okay. Just good old communication.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm the corporate recruiter for Ortho Tennessee, so my employees are basically my managers in
Okay.
all locations. So providing them more training tools, because I'm in the recruitment area day in, day out, and they don't necessarily understand, you know, what's happening in the world. And maintaining the potential employees' expectations. Just, I think you get so wrapped up in the day-to-day things that you forget, you know, okay, they appreciate the next step is you're going to hear from so-and-so, or the next step is this. And then just providing feedback to our executive leadership team, because they don't know, again, just like the managers, what's happening in the recruitment world. So letting them know that, as well as the employee feedback.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so my three are, the first one is to follow up with our new hires. So I communicate and I'm with them face to face for the first couple weeks before they even start. So I feel like new hires kind of get a little attached to me, which is perfectly fine. But you know, after orientation, I kind of just send them on, and I'm like, take everything up with your supervisor. So maybe just following up with them and making sure they've got everything they need, they're comfortable. You know, anything they're not ready to kind of talk to their supervisor about. And my second one is do more in orientation. I feel like we have a really great orientation, but like we can always have room for improvement.
Sure.
So whether that be maybe I'm a little more engaged in orientation and not just, doing the HR part and then going back to my emails or running around the office or whatever. And then my last one is doing more for our employees. In 7 days from today, I can probably come up with some more discounts for our employees, or maybe some ideas for events outside of our organization. We're healthcare, so we're kind of like nonstop patient care. So we really kind of only focus on taking care of our patients. So maybe kind of just taking a step back and appreciating the employees who are putting in that really hard work.
Okay, good.
So I have celebrate the wins, especially when we have some of our employees that are getting licensed, which is a big deal, it takes a long time. So making sure they have recognition and how they feel appreciated. Also have transparency, showing, we have a big board where we track projects and our billings, and so the employees can really see that how their work then reflects what we are able to bill at the end of the month. And then I have personal check-ins, whether it's, someone recently got engaged or bought a house, just making sure that I'm connecting with them and just, hey, how was that? Or how's it going? Moved in, etc.
Okay, good.
A lot of times in our work environment, we kind of address the groups. So for me, it would be to be more engaging with the individual and listen to hear and take time to really see how that person is doing, not just how the group is doing. Also to promote the culture, because we have a really great culture, and just asking them for ideas on any way we can improve it, or what they like about the culture, because we are very family oriented. So I really want to portray that as well. And also notice and reward someone's productivity. Not just saying, hey, thank you, you're doing a great job, but really taking time to appreciate it and say, hey, we recognize you're doing a great job, so here's 4 hours of time off because we know you've been working extra or whatever.
Okay, good.
Just taking the time.
Good. I worked for a company, and something you said triggered it. They used to give a birthday card to the employee on their birthday with a $10 gift card for Chick-fil-A in it, and the plant manager and their immediate supervisor would sign it, wish them happy birthday, and if they had a team meeting that morning, it was in front of the team generally. They would give a gift card if someone got married, bought a house, or had a baby. They got like a Target gift card or Walmart gift card, that kind of thing. If someone was nominated or won the Associate or Employee of the Month, they would send a letter to that person's family. Hey, if Johnny didn't tell you he was nominated, you should know he was nominated. Or if Johnny didn't tell you he won this month. He's recognized by his peers, this evaluation committee kind of a thing, just to kind of get it home and spread it around a little bit. So anyway, I'm sorry. What you got?
So have a conversation about their goals,
Okay.
performance, where they see themselves going. For me, I tend to get into what I'm doing and get stuck and completely block everything else out. So the next one would be more available to the team to help them with their problems, because like I said,
You get in the weeds.
I get in the weeds. And then just some more one-on-one training with my team, instead of all of us together, kind of, here's this knowledge, you need to do that, you need to use this is how you use this, that kind of stuff.
Good. Fair enough. Stefan, I guess you're up.
Communicate the vision to 2 new hires. We had 2 people start on Monday.
Okay.
Just letting a little bit of time elapse. They've already seen it once, but just kind of a refresher. We have a pretty big project taking place this weekend, over the weekend, for one of our clients. So I love your idea about milestones. If it's a long-scale project, don't wait for the bitter end. Just celebrate the milestones. And then also schedule with those 2 new hires, the Working Genius.
Good. I love Working Genius. It's a great tool. Great tool. If you're not familiar with it, Patrick Lencioni has this tool. It's called the Working Genius. It costs $25, I think, to do it online. And within 10 minutes, 15, I don't know, it's really quick when you do it. You get your immediate results. That person would get the results. And it kind of tells them what their strengths are, what they're really good at. There's 6 different categories, but it's worth looking at. Definitely worth looking at, okay? Also, Simon Sinek does a lot of, now he doesn't do the classes himself, but a lot of online classes, 90 minutes, 2 hours kind of a thing. And the cost there is anywhere from $40 to $80, depending on what the topic is. They offer a regular calendar of events, etc. Back here, I'm sorry.
So I've got a absence coming up for a surgery, so I want to set one-on-ones. We do regular group meetings, but I actually set up one-on-ones with each person to say, hey, is there anything you need before I go?
Okay.
And then, kind of in tandem with that, I also want to learn one new personal detail about each person during that meeting.
Good.
Just so whenever I come back, I can follow up on, hey, how's that going? I've been out for a while. How did that happen? How did that go?
Okay.
And the third one is I come in before they do, typically in the mornings, and try and find ways to remove roadblocks that they may have that day.
Okay.
Hey, what note can I put on there? What can I do to prepare their day to make it a better day?
Okay. Yeah, and I love the roadblocks thing. Old policies that are defunct, that we're really not using anymore, they're clutter, they're getting in the way. Get rid of them, right? We don't really do it this way anymore. We got to revamp the policy, whatever it might be. Okay? Follow-up is really critical. This can't just be the new thing, the soup of the day, the flavor of the month, whatever it might be. If you're going to do this, you got to do this, right? Back here.
More one-on-one meetings. We do everything, but I'd like to do more one-on-one with each member of the team. More positive feedback. I run some of the bigger projects we work on, and sometimes I always wait to the end to say good job. Maybe break it down into milestone things.
Yeah.
And do that. And just ensuring daily that they have everything, removing those roadblocks, everything they need.
Okay. The milestone thing is really important because it tells them you're going in the right direction. Plus, it motivates them to keep going, especially when it's a long-term project. That really is, it could be intimidating or daunting to think it's going to be a year before we finish that or 6 months before we finish it, whatever it might be.
But also that you're paying attention.
Exactly. I see what you're doing, right?
Being more consistent with actually checking in with team leads
Okay.
each day. We're supposed to do at least 5-minute stand-ups every day, and just getting more consistent with actually engaging with those
Okay.
team leads. And then also being better about publicly recognizing those wins that they have, right? Like instead of maybe just saying like good job to them one-on-one, sometimes like making sure that everyone knows, hey, this person's doing a great job. And then more one-on-one engagement with the team members. Like I talk to team leads all the time. I don't get down into it with the members of their teams regularly. So
Okay. It's hard to be everywhere, right?
it is.
Really is. Really is. Recognition, I'll tell you a story that I was like kind of shocked when it happened. I said to this employee in front of the team at a team meeting, I said, Mike, your attendance is like on fire. Like, you know you're going on 3 years with never missing a day, never being late for work. I said, thanks, congratulations, and all that. Mike came to me about 2 hours later and said, please don't ever do that again. You embarrassed me in front of my coworkers. I was like, ouch, right? I don't know, it's crazy, right? Yeah. Chris, how about you? What you got?
Well, I work in a small organization. There's just 2 of us on the team.
Okay.
And, but I do a lot of like our outward-facing, community-focused stuff for our organization. So one of the things that I'm going to try to do more consistently is just check on board members.
Okay.
Our executive director is our primary resource to the board, but I do a lot of board work. So that's one thing that I can do. Empower, so we have a pretty good team where we check on each other, but to better give my executive director a license for self-care, cheer her on in that. And then also, I know this is a little bit different focus. I came for engagement less about my co-workers and more about the community members, constituents that I work with. And so So figuring out what our constituents actually care about. Why are they involved with our organization? And how we can better speak to the things that they care about.
Good, good. Last but not least, what you got?
So definitely creating tangible goals, excuse me, and celebrating the milestones along the way. But I also think it's super important to be able to keep that open door in regards to feedback from your team, asking questions, not only like how are you, but what questions do you have for me? And keeping that door open to where they feel comfortable enough to actually come to you when there is an issue or when they do have great ideas. Holding space for frontline voices, I think that kind of goes in parallel with that. And then also maintaining your core values in your management team. We all know that you can walk into a space and your face will tell it all. Making sure that your frontline managers are able to maintain those values in order to spread that on to everybody else.
Absolutely. I love what you said, holding space for, what was that?
Holding space for frontline voices.
For frontline voices. I like that. I like that a lot. So here's the hard question. How do I know that you're going to do any of this? Trust. Do you trust me? Yeah. You barely know me.
32%.
32%. I like it. I like it. Some of you, your boss is in the room, right? So you can or hopefully will be held accountable for what you've written. Others, your boss is not in the room. So I would encourage you to take it back, show your boss, show your coworkers. Hold my feet to the fire a week from now. Did I implement these 3 things? Did I get it done? Did I make steps or take steps to move us forward to get more engaged in the workforce, right? Because if I sit here for 90 minutes, I write all this stuff down, and I go home and I do nothing with it, I've wasted my time, right? There's no point in doing it, right? So a little bit of accountability goes a long way, okay? Any questions at all? Anything? No? Thank you. I appreciate your time. One thing I would ask, if you could do me a favor, is there's a survey form on the table when you walked in. If you could take a couple minutes, fill it out. Write anything you want. I've worked in HR for 38 years. There is nothing you're going to say that's going to hurt my feelings. It's been said to me, right? And then just leave it face down at the middle table when you leave then, okay? Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.